Here are the top stories for today, December 6, 2019. President Duterte lashed out anew over the deals made between MWSS and the two water concessionaires. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanal reminds netizens to verify information from social media to avoid spread of fake news. About 2,000 shelters are pledged by President Duterte to relocate victims of Typhoon Tisoy in Albay. And Interior Secretary Eduardo Año and other cabinet officials are said to be on the CPP kill list. Good day, I'm Bench Bondok. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. We start at the nation's top office. President Rodrigo Duterte on Thursday said the Philippines lost its sovereignty when the government entered into alleged onerous water concession agreements with Maynilad and Manila Water. Duterte lashed out anew over the deals made between state regulator MWSS and the two water concessionaires in 1997, which were disadvantageous to the government and the public. The president said the owners of the two water concessionaires allegedly have committed economic plunder by making the government pay them billions of pesos for damages. Earlier, a review conducted by the Justice Department showed the water contracts were onerous and disadvantageous to the people relative to the terms or periods, government non-interference, as well as concessionaire indemnification for losses.
Alam mo, in that contract, basa mo, our country surrendered everything to Manila Water and to Maynilad. Everything, including the sovereignty of... Kasi nakalagay doon, in interpreting this contract, pwede nga Republic of the Philippines Sila ang distributor Magbayad tayo any loss or the losses that they will incur. Babayaran natin. Anak ka na. Kung malugi sila, attributable to the government, what animal is that? It is not stated in the contract.
In related news, following controversies hounding the supposed onerous deals with water concessionaires Manila Water and Maynilad, the Philippine government's public service contracts with private companies are subject to thorough scrutiny. Janice Cave reports.
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelos said President Duterte has ordered the review of numerous existing government contracts with private firms to ensure that these are advantageous to the Filipino people. This developed after Duterte was infuriated by Singapore-based arbitration panel's ruling that the Philippine government must pay Manila Water 7.4 billion pesos, a hefty amount that represents the actual losses the water concessionaire suffered from non-implementation of water hikes from June 1, 2015 to November 22, 2019. The Philippine government was also ordered to pay 100% of the amount paid by Manila Water to the Permanent Court of Arbitration and 85% of the utility company's other claimed costs. In April this year, Duterte directed the Office of the Solicitor General, the Department of Justice, and other state legal departments to look into all the government's existing contracts with private companies and other countries. Duterte was prompted to issue such directive earlier this year after the Singapore High Court upheld its October 2018 ruling, which orders the Philippine government to pay Maynilad around 3.42 billion pesos due to disapproved water rate increases from March 11, 2015 to August 31, 2016. The President's order in April was intended to remove all onerous provisions included in any contracts that will put the Filipino people at disadvantage or are in violation of the Constitution. Duterte has ordered the filing of appropriate criminal, civil, and administrative charges to the owners and legal counsels of Manila Water and Maynilad. He has also directed the filing of economic sabotage against the agents and lawyers of the governments involved in the crafting of the deals with the two water concessionaires. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Meanwhile, Malacanang described the Philippine labor market under the Duterte administration as vibrant after a report from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed that more Filipinos were employed in October this year. The result of the Philippine Statistics Authority's latest labor force survey, or LFS, found that the employment rate was estimated at 95.5% in October, higher than 94.9% in the same month last year, while unemployment rate declined to a 14-year low at 4.5% from the 5.1% recorded in October 2018. Underemployment or having part-time jobs dropped to 13% from 13.3% in 2018. The PCA said unemployment and underemployment rates in October were the lowest since 2005, the year that the employment metrics were adopted. Panelo noted that economic growth has become robust, sustainable, and inclusive due to Duterte's independent foreign policy direction, which allowed more foreign direct investments and ultimately provided Filipinos with more jobs. He also assured that the government would provide better knowledge and skills training to the public as part of efforts to strengthen the labor market. In other news, Presidential Communications Operations Office Secretary Martin Andanado on Thursday reminded netizens to verify the information from social media to avoid spread of fake news. Andanado made the call as he lambasted the opposition for politicizing the Philippines' hosting of the 30th Southeast Asian or SEA Games. The Philippine SEA Games Organizing Committee, led by House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, earlier decried the supposedly pattern of fake news carried by several news outfits ahead of the formal opening of the biennial sports meet on November 30. The alleged kikiam, which was actually chicken sausage that was served to the Philippine women's football team for breakfast, was among the false news reported by some media. It was also found that the viral photo of the Binyan Sports Complex and the supposed makeshift press center that was photographed by local and international media, which both turned out to be misrepresentation of truth. Andanar cautioned that propagating false news could yield grave repercussions for the country's progress. He also urged the public, especially the youth, to take part in fighting the spread of fake news that are propagated to discredit the government's efforts in nation building. Malacanang said the Education Department is on the right track in addressing gaps in basic education. And the latest SWS survey shows majority of Filipinos are worried over the Chinese influx in the country. Our Teresa Montemayor has the story.
Malacanang on Thursday said the Department of Education is on the right track to improve the quality of basic education in the country. This after the Philippines posted a poor ranking in the Program for International Student Assessment in 2018. Panelo said the palace welcomes the move of DepEd Secretary Leonor Briones to evaluate the country's basic education by comparing its performance with other nations. He also took note of the current administration's courage to open the eyes of Filipinos with regard to the real status of the education in the Philippines. Meanwhile, majority of Filipinos have expressed worry over the growing number of Chinese workers in the country. According to the SWS survey conducted from September 27 to 30, 70% of adult Filipinos were worried about the surge of Chinese nationals working in the Philippines. Of the 70%, 31% were worried a great deal, while 39% were somewhat worried. About 19% told SWS that they were not too worried, and the remaining 11% said they were not at all worried. The influx of Chinese citizens visiting and seeking jobs in the country was observed since President Duterte sought friendly and improved ties with China upon assuming office in 2016. PNP spokesperson Brigadier General Bernard Banac on Friday reiterated that operations in connection with the government's ongoing anti-drug campaign are legitimate. Banak was reacting to the International Criminal Court's latest claim of rape and other abuses in the government's campaign against illegal drugs. He said the rehashed narratives of alleged abuses remain unproven and devoid of truth from the beginning but had been repeatedly told and retold over and over again to make it sound factual. From the PNA Newsroom, I'm Teresa Montemayor.
Still to come, about 2,000 shelters are pledged by President Duterte to relocate victims of Typhoon Tisoy in Albay. And Interior Secretary Eduardo Año and other cabinet executives are said to be on the CPP kill list. These stories are next when the PNA Newsroom continues.
I now declare the 16th Southeast Asian Games open. Thank you.
President Duterte on Thursday pledged to build about 2,000 shelters to relocate families living along foreshore areas in Albay province following the onslaught of Typhoon Tisoy. Duterte made this commitment after Albay Governor Al Francis Bichara bared that several houses along the coastline have been heavily damaged by the typhoon. Acknowledging how the Bicol region is among the most disaster-prone areas, the president said he commiserated with Bicolanos who bore the brunt of the typhoon's wrath.
We can commit about 2,000, but we have to look for a new site. Kasi kapag ganon, hindi naman payag ang NHA na still in the danger zone.
I will advise you accordingly kung kailan dadating o pera. I'm sure there is always a money for that and for all of these things that's happening now. The only thing is how fast. Wala kayong problema sa akin.
President Duterte on Thursday announced that he has directed Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III to talk peace with Communist founder Jose Maria Sison. The president made the announcement when he presided over the situation briefing on the effects of Typhoon Tisoy in the Bicol region. He, however, refused to elaborate on the impending dialogue between Sison and Bello.
Ang ano ko ngayon, I cannot stop. Hindi ko pwedeng sabihin, ayaw ko na makipag-usap. That is not a statement of a leader. Now, this is the first time that I will reveal it I'm sending Secretary Bilyuk. Komunista naman talaga ito siya. So, he should go there, talk to them, and I cannot talk about it. Basta, I'm sending him back to season and talk to him about. Malaman lang ninyo yan pagdating ng panahon. You should understand that the quest for, the longing for peace is always there. And not for the military and the police, but for everybody. No, kailangan, the doors must be open always. Or there must be at least one channel, if everything closes, na pwede mong pakiusapan. Malaman lang ninyo yan pagdating ng panahon. If he agrees, ito ang sabi ko last card. When say my last card is, my time is running out.
Interior Secretary Eduardo Año on Thursday shrugged off threats from communist rebels. Año made a remark following reports that the Communist Party of the Philippines launched a plot to assassinate several cabinet officials who are spearheading President Duterte's counter-insurgency program. Major General Antonio Parlade Jr., AFP Deputy Chief of Staff for Civil Military Operations, said aside from Año, included in the kill list are National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. and National Commission on Indigenous Peoples Chairman Alan Capuyan. Parlade also said he and 5 former communist leaders are on the list under Oplan Hades, a program of the CPP against counter-revolutionaries. In a text message, Año said his security measures are enough and he will not be intimidated by the CPP's plot. He also vowed that they will get the communist rebels before they can execute their plan. For his part, Parlade said he just wanted to show the Filipinos the duplicity of the CPP. The International Criminal Court on Thursday said it has no jurisdiction on the complaint of former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario and former Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales against China. In its report dated December 5, ICC prosecutor Fatou Bensouda said that the crimes allegedly committed do not fall within the territorial or otherwise personal jurisdiction of the ICC. Bensouda's office pointed out that China is not a state party to the Rome Statute. Del Rosario Morales, along with other Filipino fishermen in March 2019, accused Chinese President Xi Jinping and some Chinese officials as accountable for crimes against humanity. They cited China's activities within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea, massive illegal reclamation and artificial island building in the Spratly Islands, as well as tolerated illegal and harmful fishing practices by Chinese nationals in the area. In a joint statement issued a day after the reports released, Del Rosario and Morales vowed to continue pursuing the case. The Supreme Court affirmed the graft charges against Senator Lito Lapid and 5 others embroiled in transactions forming part of the 728 million peso fertilizer fund scam. The ruling against Lapid and co-accused Maria Victoria Aquino Abubakar, Lolita Aquino, and Dexter Alexander Vasquez sided with the Office of the Ombudsman, which earlier sought the reversal of the Sandigan Bayan's dismissal of the charges against the respondents. The Sandigan Bayan had dismissed the charges after Lapid and subsequently the other respondents cited a violation of their right to speedy disposition of the charges against them. The charges arose from the purchase of 3,880 liters of overpriced macro-microfoliar fertilizer under the Gininto ang Masaganang Ani program of the Department of Agriculture without public bidding. In 2011, the Ombudsman filed a complaint against several officials of the provincial government of Pampanga, including then-Governor Lapid, as well as officials of Malayan Pacific Trading Corporation and DA Vasc Macro-Micro Fertilizer Resources. More stories from the newsroom. The Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation led the distribution of transitional homes and business stalls in Marawi City. And Filipino athlete Elma Muros cited Clark Freeport as a suitable venue for the ongoing Southeast Asian Games. Back after a quick break, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lighting of the sacred fire!
We love our Southeast Asian brothers and sisters. And through that love, we pray as one, we build as one, we work as one, and we win as one.
I declare open Southeast Asian Games for the 30th time, celebrating the Games of Southeast Asia. Mabuhay kayong lahat.
Over 300 schools were reported damaged in the Bicol region due to Typhoon Tisoy. Meanwhile, traders in the region are ordered to comply with the price freeze implemented by the DTI. Laid Kabagani has tonight's regional headlines.
The Department of Education Bicol Region Office on Thursday reported initial infrastructure damage of 900 million pesos due to the onslaught of Typhoon Tisoy. DepEd Regional Director Gilbert Sadsad said 372 schools were heavily affected by the typhoon, of which 278 sustained infrastructure damage. Sadsad added that there is also a need to put up 289 temporary learning spaces for learners in severely affected schools. Coordination with stakeholders, local government units, and non-government organization partners was initiated to assist and support the affected schools. Meanwhile, the Department of Trade and Industry in Bicol warned traders to avoid exploiting prices and comply with the price freeze implemented in the aftermath of Typhoon Tisoy. DTI spokesperson Jocelyn Berango said there must be no price increase within 60 days upon declaration of state of calamity, for which Albay, Sorsogon, and Camarines Sur are now under. Berango said they are still waiting for other provinces to declare state of calamity. In northern Samar, 2 towns are under state of calamity after Typhoon Tisoy left a trail of destruction in several communities there. On Wednesday, the Sangguniang Bayan in towns of Catarman and Gamay approved the declaration of state of calamity to facilitate the delivery of assistance to affected residents. Over 19,000 residents have been affected by the typhoon's impact, with some 2,000 houses damaged, aside from damage to agriculture. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Kabagani.
As part of continued efforts to rehabilitate Marawi City, the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation led the distribution of transitional homes and business stalls to selected beneficiaries. Christine Lin Viajante has the story.
130 families from community-based tents are given transitional shelters here at Bakwit Village Phase 2, Barangay Pindolonan, Municipality of Sagiaran, Lanao del Sur. With the coordination of Task Force Bangon Marawi and its partner agencies, TFBM helped the Philippine Amusement Gaming Corporation and landowner Kim Wong in identifying and selecting the IDP families that would benefit from the project. The beneficiaries can contain the happiness they've felt.
Nalaman ko yung narinig ko yung pangalan ko, nakakasali ako doon. Nayak ako tuloy. Dahil matagal na pinaglaban. Pinaglaban ng asawa ko yung makakuha namin ng temporary shelter. Mahigit na 3 taon na. Hindi ko nararamdaman doon. Dito ko nalang nararamdaman ang saya.
Napapaiyak po ako dahil po ma'am sa saya. Napasaya po ako dahil nandito na po kami. Ngayon lang po kami nakatulog ng mahimbing. nakapag-CR ng makinang CR. Wow! Nakapagligo ng makinang paliguan. Pero sa ngayon, napapaiyak po ako dahil po sa sobrang saya ko. Lahat po ng mga IDPs, lahat po yan nagpapasalamat ma'am sa inyo.
Aside from the transitional homes, PAGCOR also gave 20 business stalls and 50,000 pesos to each stall owner as business capital to start up.
Identify ni 20. Handa na po ngayon kaming ni Mr. Kim Wong magbigay ng 50,000 pesos bilang puhunan ninyo. So, sana po lumago ang negosyo ninyo para pagdating namin dito, kami naman ang magsha-shopping sa susunod.
Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development distributed 1 sack of 30-kilogram rice, family kits, and sleeping kits to each of the 130 families. As of now, PAGCOR already turned over 500 houses, 20 business stalls, 2 multipurpose halls, and 2 educational halls in different sites. For PNA Newsroom, Christine Lynn Viajante of the Philippine Information Agency.
More news from the regions. The city government of Iloilo sealed on Thursday a new partnership with Globe Telecom for the provision of free Wi-Fi services in key areas early next year. Mayor Jerry Treñas, who signed that agreement on behalf of the city government, expressed his desire for the highly urbanized city to be as competitive as other so-called smart cities. The Globe Go Wi-Fi services will be made available at the City Hall, Sunburst Park, and Iloilo Freedom Grandstand. The free Wi-Fi can be availed of by clients while waiting for their transactions at the City Hall and for online payment. Globe said they are working on the city's facilities for online transactions, adding that next year they hope to launch an online payment system. Meanwhile, the Department of Information and Communications Technology rolled out free public Wi-Fi inside government establishments in Cagayan de Oro City. The Wi-Fi hotspots were set up inside the J.R. Borja General Hospital, City Tourism Hall, at the City Hall compound, and the Heroes Ward Camp Evangelista Station Hospital in Barangay Patag. Next year, the DICT plans to connect at least 80 to 100 sites consisting of different government facilities such as barangay halls, city halls, and municipal halls, public schools, public parks, and government hospitals. The DICT has a target of 104,000 Wi-Fi sites nationwide to be accomplished in 2022. On to some sports action now. Renowned Filipino athlete Elma Muros on Thursday cited Clark Freeport as a suitable venue for the ongoing 30th edition of the Southeast Asian Games. Muros, one of the most decorated athletes in SEA Games history and known as the long jump queen, expressed elation over the facilities and atmosphere in the area. She marked her first visit to Clark, cheering for Filipino athletes competing in archery and rugby sevens. Clark is the official venue for the rugby sevens and archery, softball and baseball, dance sport, petanque, and lawn bowl. Muros said the athletes today are blessed by having all the facilities for their training and competition proper. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte lashed out anew over the deals made between MWSS and the two water concessionaires. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanal reminds netizens to verify information from social media to avoid spread of fake news. About 2,000 shelters are pledged by President Duterte to relocate victims of Typhoon Tisoy in Albay. And Interior Secretary Eduardo Año and other cabinet officials are said to be on the CPP kill list. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. Are you ready for the most wonderful time of the year? It's 19 days before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Bench Bondok. Have a great weekend.